This season, Bournemouth fans are travelling 1,000 miles more than they did for the previous campaign. And this season, we're off some places that we haven't been to for a while. I'm talking Leeds, I'm talking Burnley, I'm talking Sunderland. It's been a few years since we've been there, hey? Plus, I'm talking new grounds as well. Indeed, we'll be visiting Everton's Hill Dickinson... Sorry, is that real? Hill Dickinson Stadium for the first time too. We're really excited about that. And look, if you're an away fan, you should be excited too, because when you visit Vitality Stadium in the near future, our stadium is being redeveloped too. It starts at the end of this season and hopefully it should be a phased completion in about 2 years. Can't wait for that. If you've not been here before, then what are you doing? You might as well press the like button and subscribe. Yes, we're a Bournemouth channel. Yes, we've got a small fan base, but what we do is travel to every single Premier League game around the country, giving an authentic experience of what it's like in the city, a raw view of what it's like inside the ground. Plus, we get to chat to some locals and we get a gauge on exactly what they're like. As such, after each match, we review everything about the away day, apart from the game itself, because that would be unfair, right? And we've got a few factors that we take into account too. Of course, it is entirely subjective and it could well be a one-off experience that we have. We know that. So I wouldn't read into it too much. But look, this video series is also a chance for us to get an education as well. So if you've got any advice when we cover your club about what things we could do better on a match day, what pubs could we go to, what things could we see in your town or city, let us know in the comments and then we'll go from there. So how do we score this thing? Look, we did this series a few seasons ago. We change it each and every time. We just tweak it. This season, there are 7 different criteria and we score each out of 10, and they are the city, the pubs, the people, the stadium, the view, the noise and the concourse. So, who's first up? Well, obviously, it's Liverpool. Okay then, firstly, the city. I mean, what can you say about Liverpool as a city? I mean, I think we scratched the surface when we went there. We spent about 4 or 5 hours just walking around, and we had a wholly superb time visiting all the different landmarks before the game. Of course, the weather did help massively, but one thing I can say about Liverpool is that even if it wasn't a sunny day, they do have plenty of covered attractions that would have saved the day. Now, going down to the waterfront was great. The Royal Albert Docks was superb, historical, lots of statues, lots of culture, great architecture and points of interest as well. Now, a point of note for me is that it was clean. Like everywhere, really well maintained. You could feel there was kind of like a raw brilliance about the area, which is quite hard to describe really. Liverpool one was great to walk through as we went towards Matthew Street. And I mean, what can you say about that area? If you're a local, whether you like it or not, I don't know. But as a tourist, my God, you just got to go there. Live music in every venue and some iconic landmarks and places to go. Everywhere was just full of life. So this for me is right up there. In terms of the city, I'm going with a strong 9. Onto the pubs. Well, Liverpool's a bit like Newcastle in that you'll be hard pushed to find a pub that is specifically for away fans. Liverpool supporters are very welcoming and you will be welcome in literally any venue around. Of course, a lot of them get really busy on a match day, you know that, but there's a real proper buzz and every single one of them is heaving, but it just seems to have a good atmosphere. We, of course, walked past many. We went into a few. And we actually walked from the city towards Anfield, so we certainly got our steps in. It's about a 45-minute walk. So we went to a couple of old school boozers on our approach to Anfield, but all of them were great. Reasonable in terms of the price, I've got to say. And also, there seemed to be live music in most of them, so it's a really, really good vibe. The variety of pubs in and around Anfield, it's actually huge. Of course, in the city centre, it's massive, but even around Anfield, for me, that's quite a big factor. You've got your pubs that have got like big outdoor drinking areas. You've got ones that maybe are a little bit old school. You've got some modern bars as well. There's, of course, the world famous Arcles, of course, which is frequented by a lot of away fans. I didn't go to there this time. I've been there too many times. And this is probably a pub itself that actually lowers the score from a 9 to the 8. I like familiarity on a away day. I prefer to explore the city and the town and other places a little bit more, I've got to say. And that specific pub, just because I've been there so many times, it's they don't accept the Green King season ticket, so you can't get cheaper pints. The toilets are, no food. It's all right, but for me, pubs in general is a good score. So it's going to be an 8 out of 10. The people, right, this is an interesting one, because this is all about like the friendliness of the folk that you chat to, which again can always be a difficult one to gauge, because maybe I was just lucky with the people that I meet on the day. Maybe certain comings together might not be reflective of the fan base as a whole, that kind of thing, but I can only mark and score what's in front of me, right? I do also sense that there is a different vibe from supporters of clubs that are above you or over you or on top of you in the football food chain, because they'll always be friendly, right? You can chat to them, they'll be nice about your team, they'll give you a pat on the head, and they'll send you on your way. So it's a tough one to score, but I've got to say the people of Liverpool were just great. They were sound people, or should I say they were boss. I sense that there is a, how do I say this? A rawness and a simplicity of the way of life of a lot of the people that I chat to. Now, this isn't meant to be condescending or a slur, I've got to say. It's actually a compliment, but it's a kind of football is everything attitude, right? And I think that the people up there are fairly grounded, and it's mad considering they support one of the biggest football clubs in the world, of course. Their groundedness, I think, is possibly born out of the tragedy that they've suffered, even recently, of course, but also historically. And plus, we know in Merseyside there is very much a us versus them attitude when it comes to the rest of England, the rest of the UK. But I expect for most Premier League clubs like us, when you visit, they'll welcome you in. And for a small club like Bournemouth, when they got Concourse for a snip, they're going to be happy with us, right? I thought they were absolutely sound people, like really easy to chat to, very complimentary. For them, it's an 8 out of 10. Right, the stadium then. This is all about nothing about the capacity or anything like that. It's about the look of it, the architecture, the grandioseness. And Anfield definitely has that. You sort of get that when you walk towards it, that historical feeling of, famous nights have happened here. And we all know they have. One thing I've got to say, I'm glad they never moved it, because there were considerations at one point in time that the venue could actually move, maybe into Stanley Park, because obviously they needed the space around it. But no, I love it. I love the red brick look. It still manages to look fairly modern, which I like. There's not to complain about, really, when it comes to the stadium. Even behind the Anfield Road end, Stanley Park, that's really, really nice. And around the other side, you've got your streets, your businesses, your pubs that have clearly got an association with the football club. Plenty of murals. I kind of like all that kind of, again, don't want to sound condescending, that kind of spit and sawdust feel. It contrasts with the stadium massively. But the main thing is, for me, there's plenty going on in and around the ground. Can't stand these soulless bowls on the outskirts. I'm talking about you, Brighton, where there's nothing really going on around it. This is still in relatively the heart of the city, I've got to say. Yes, it is a little bit of a walk. It's not a city centre stadium by any stretch of the imagination like Newcastle, but I still like the fact it's got so much going on around it. So for me, this again, sorry to be boring, scores a solid 8. Right, the view from Anfield. This is the view from your seat when you go in. I've got to say, everyone was standing. It seemed to be spacious. Even at Dean Court, I find, when you're standing, sometimes you feel as though you can't, put your elbows out a lot because you're still quite cramped in. Here, I didn't feel that at all. Maybe a steeper rake might be more favourable a little bit, because sometimes sort of on your tippy toes trying to see what's happening in the corner, like when Liverpool got one over to our left-hand side. But it is a solid view. You can't not see anywhere on the pitch. And also, I checked out Rob from Access Advisor. He's a Cherries fan. I implore you to subscribe to his channel. He's done just short of 4-minute video giving his own rating in terms of an accessibility standpoint. He's in a motorised wheelchair, and he said that the stewards were exceptionally helpful. The view is really good, and he himself scored it very well. So for me, once again, it's 8 out of 10. Onto the noise, right? This is mad, right? But we've previously been on a away day here, and it's been poor. But I'm not stupid. We need to understand that there are caveats to this, right? For instance, I can imagine when 9 out of 10 times when Liverpool play Bournemouth, it's not going to be as vocal as when you play Manchester United, Manchester City, Everton, your kind of bigger rival, so to speak. It's natural that there's going to be more of a buzz when it comes to playing the bigger teams in and around you in the table. Not so much Everton. But or Man United, actually, come to think of it. Also, we need to keep into account there's got to be a lot of context around the noise in terms of how the match goes. If you score a late winner, whoever you're playing, invariably the crescendo is going to outweigh the 3 cheers that you have when you win 3-0 fairly comfortably, or in Liverpool's case 9-0. I was there. It was horrible. On this occasion, there was another factor there, of course, and that was the Diogo Jota and Andre Silva thing, which obviously heightened the emotions. But all things considered, I think this was the loudest I've ever experienced Anfield. We often, as Bournemouth fans, you may have seen from previous videos, we give Liverpool a bit of a hard time because we feel as though we turn up, you sing Never Walk Alone excellently, but after that, there's not much to it. It's a touristy atmosphere. This time, though, was different. Of course, it spiked during the end, but throughout it, I thought your support was pretty good. Again, it leans into the Jota stuff, I'm sure, and also the fact that maybe all of us are just absolutely buzzing that the Premier League is back after a 3-month break. But when Chiesa scored the third, my God, that chant, that was so loud, and it fully dispelled the myth that Anfield is only loud for the big games, because that is the loudest I've ever heard it. Will it be the loudest I hear a ground this season? I'm not sure. Look, I need to compliment it, so I'm giving it an 8, but I'm scoring it as an 8 rather than a 9 because it gives a little bit of wriggle room for later on. If there are grounds that are louder, I can score them higher. And of course, if they're not as loud, which I suspect in many a case, it will be lower. Fair? Right, onto the concourse then. This is a bit of an odd one because you've got your big entrance, of course, helped by the redevelopment of the Anfield Road end, but then you go down to the steps into the area immediately before the entrance to the stands, if you see what I mean. It's quite a sort of smallish area, really. This is where the food is served, so it can get a little bit busy. People, though, I've noticed, tend to grab their food and drink here and then head up the steps to the raised area just outside it. I mean, it's okay. There's e-bar facilities in some parts, which is absolutely superb, really good. The toilets, they were all right. It felt for me as though they were kind of easy to access. I wasn't queuing or anything like that, so that was pretty good. And I think we did take as many as we possibly could. I don't know what the actual end results of how many Cherries fans went. But yeah, I didn't have any problems, getting to the toilet. But it is a little bit cramped. It's not my favourite, I've got to say. It's probably because I've not really had a good experience ever on a Liverpool concourse. But for this, due to the tightness of it in places, I'm going to score a 6 out of 10. I'm not really sure what else I can say. So, there we go then. Those were all the 7 criteria. This season we decided against analysing the prices, right? Because there are so many factors across the Premier League. Some, like Fulham, I think, charge cheaper prices a certain time before kick-off, and some of them do like drink and pie offers. So how can you compare a price of a pint with one when you can get it cheaper if you buy something else? We do that at AFC Bournemouth with some of our meal deals. Also, it's not always the same brand of beer, so it's like comparing apples with oranges. But one thing I can say, though, the beer was not overly cold. Not a good thing. So that also lends into the lower concourse score there. But all in all, a very decent away day and thoroughly enjoyable. Of course, I was disappointed with the result, but the overall feel from coming away from Liverpool is actually kind of like a joyous one, which is absolutely mad considering we lost 4-2. But out of 70 points, Liverpool goes top of the table with 55. There are 18 away days to go. Can it maintain its position at the top? I do wonder, actually, whether we've peaked too soon here, because that was a very good away day. But look, if you like and subscribe, that's the main thing. We'll let you know when the next video's out. Of course, we got lots of Bournemouth content, but after our away games, you might want to come back and see exactly where you are. Up the Cherries, and well done, Liverpool.